Welcome to the Real Lombardino's Cooking at Home. We are still stuck here in Madison, Wisconsin under quarantine, and I'm challenging myself and my wife, who's my producer, Michelle, to keep active, learn something new every day, and so the challenge we put forward to ourselves was to start a YouTube channel and show how we're cooking through the quarantine. Today we're going to make some strip steaks for our family meal, and we're going to sear them in a cast iron skillet. We're going to throw together a sauce for that, a quick sauce with things we had in our refrigerator. We're going to pan roast some mushrooms that go along with the steak, and then make what I'm calling a kitchen sink salad. We just went through our refrigerator and our pantry and our cupboards and kind of cobbled together this salad that we're going to complement this. So it's going to be gluten-free, it's going to be delicious, and we'll talk a little bit about how we make steak. Today we're making strip steaks. We're going to sear them in a cast iron skillet, serve them with some roasted mushrooms, which will cook right in the same skillet when we're finished with our steaks. And we're going to make what I'm calling a kitchen sink salad. We went through our refrigerator, our pantry, and grabbed all the different ingredients we thought would go well with a steak. We're going to make a quick sauce to go with it as well. And we're going to do 2 strip steaks that we bought at our local Metcalf's market when we were out shopping. And we are going to serve 4 people with these 2 steaks. I'm encouraging people to, eat less meat, but eat higher quality meat. We have a local butcher shop in town called Conscious Carnivore that's still delivering, or actually they have drive-through service, and it's right in a great strip mall with Penzeys spices as well. We're going to use some of those spices as we season our steak. What we did with these strip steaks today is we brought them out of the refrigerator and we let them sit on the counter for about a half hour, kind of to temper them and get them ready to go into the skillet. So I'm going to season them and then set them aside as we prep the mise en place, all the things we need in their place for our salad. So what I'm doing today is using a little coarse kosher salt, some freshly ground black pepper. We're going to season liberally on each side, and then just a light dusting of smoked Spanish paprika that we picked up at the Penzeys Spice Market. So both sides of the steak are going to get the same treatment, a little kosher salt, a little light dusting of the smoked paprika, and that'll give it a nice grilled flavor, a little smoky, delicious, sweet, savory flavor. I'm going to set these aside, and then we'll get on to prepping our salad. So to start our kitchen sink salad, I have a giant bowl here. This is what our family uses on movie night for popcorn. We make a ridiculous amount of popcorn. And we're going to set that aside and start prepping all the vegetables that are going to go in here. So going through the pantry, I had some canned artichoke hearts. I'm going to put some of those in, some chickpeas, a few of those, and then I have some fresh veggies I'd also like to put in there. I have some Brussels sprouts, which I'm going to slice in half so I have a flat surface here. I'm going to hold my fingers back and then just slice these very thinly. These will add a little delicious crunch to our salad. Also, we're going to be spicing it up because we like spicy food here at our house. And we're going to add spicy giardiniera, which is giardiniera the garden. It's an Italian, kind of an Italian-American mix of pickled vegetables with hot chilies. Very popular in the cuisine of Chicago. If anyone's familiar with Chicago hot dogs or Italian beefs, you've seen giardiniera before. So I have these Brussels sprouts ready to go. We're going to cut up some cherry tomatoes. I don't usually use a lot of tomatoes when they're not in season. We buy all of the tomatoes every year from Voss Organics for the restaurant at Lombardino's. But at home in the off season, I do like these sweet little cherry tomatoes. And my key to slicing them is to always use a little serrated knife. I have a little serrated paring knife, slides right through much easier than my chef knife. And if your knife is a little dull, you're going to have trouble. I'm sure everyone's experienced that, cutting up these cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to cut up a good colorful mix of these and add them to my bowl. We'll get the salad all prepped up, then we'll spend some time making steak together, and then we'll come back and toss the salad with some greens that we had in our refrigerator. The next ingredient I want to add is an avocado. So I'm trying to build a lot of color here on my dish. So the avocado I'm going to take, the same little paring knife, I'm going to cut it right around. Look at it, it looks beautiful. If there's any brown here, it kind of has an off taste, and I really don't care for that. So I take my chef's knife, dig it into the pit comes right off into the garbage. Then we go back to our avocado. I'm going to slice this into cubes because I want it kind of diced up in my salad. Very easy, especially if it's ripe. We bought these a few days ago when we were stocking up at the market and have them sitting out on the counter to ripen up. Then you just take a spoon, scoop these out, and you have a nicely diced avocado. Avocado to me is one of the great luscious ingredients, and I just think it needs a little bit of salt, so we'll be adding a healthy dose of salt to this avocado. And I think one of the last ingredients I'm going to use here is some gorgonzola cheese that we picked up. A little blue cheese and steak is really a delicious combination. So I have all these ingredients, my hot giardiniera that we talked about. So this is the pickled veggies. Has a real strong spice to it. Comes packed in a little oil. So we're going to toss all that together with a little vinaigrette when we get ready to plate our dish. But I'll give you a look at what I have here. So this is my mise en place, all of my ingredients ready to go for the salad. So I have a cast iron skillet that's heating up over a high flame here. I have my exhaust hood on, and I'm gonna sear my steaks. So I'm just gonna coat them with a little extra virgin olive oil. You don't need much at all, just enough so they don't stick in our pan. They're all seasoned and rested, and we're gonna drop them right in here and let them sear on each side. The key to cooking a good steak is to let it rest in the pan. Don't disturb it. The more you move it around, the worse the sear is going to be. So we want to caramelize all of that fat on the other side here, get a nice brown crust sealing in all the juices. We'll put just a little drizzle of olive oil on the top of the steak, and we're gonna let that sit for just a second. Steaks have been in the pan for about a minute and a half. We're gonna turn them over, beautifully browned, lay them back into the pan, very gently, and we want to brown the second side. Now what I'm going to do here is pop them into the oven for a few minutes just to get them cooking, and we'll finish them on the stovetop with the butter and the herbs and garlic. But what I do, a lot of chefs do, is you poke the fish, poke the meat as you're cooking. And when you're trying to check a steak, all different steaks are different. A tenderloin, I like to cook a little bit rare, which is not going to be very firm at all. Steaks like a strip or a ribeye, I like a little bit towards medium rare. A veal chop, closer to medium. And how do you tell with your finger? By poking the steak, you can tell because you've cooked thousands of steaks in a restaurant. But a chef I worked with a long time ago gave me this little tip. If you want to check what it feels like, your bottom lip is a rare steak. Your nose is a medium steak. And if you touch your forehead, that is a well-done steak, very firm. So we want to cook these to about medium rare. So I'm going to put them in the oven for about 1 minute. And then I'll pull them out. We'll baste them to finish. So my steaks have been in a 400-degree oven for just about 2.5 minutes. I'm going to turn my oven off because I'm done there. And now we're going to start the basting process. We're going to add the rosemary, the garlic, the fresh thyme. And we're going to put a nice nub of Wisconsin butter in the pan. Turn the heat back on. We'll let this butter kind of froth up, and then we're going to baste these steaks. I can see my steaks look still a little bit pink in the center. I also have this instant read thermometer, which is a chef's best friend when you're cooking a steak. I can check my internal temperature by resting in here in the thickest part of the steak. And I'm just coming up on about 100 degrees, which is going to let me know that at about 110 to 115 I want to rest these steaks. So we'll get back to the basting here. My butter is all melting and froth. So we really want to move that around in the pan. Give them a little bit of a baste here. You can see the butter is adding a real nuttiness as it browns with all those meat juices. And the steaks look wonderful. They're taking on the perfume of the herbs and the garlic really nicely. And that will leave behind a very seasoned oil in the pan that we're going to roast our mushrooms in. So a little bit of a baste, and then we're gonna let these steaks rest. So I'm gonna take my steaks out of the pan. I'm gonna let them rest. We're gonna drape the garlic and the herbs over the top. Then we'll restart our flame, and we're going to cook our mushrooms. So I have a little mix of mushrooms. I have some portobellas and shiitakes, some cremini mushrooms, some oyster mushrooms. And I'm just gonna add them right into this pan. I don't wanna overcrowd it too much. Give them a little room. And they're gonna roast with all those meat juices. We'll give these a few minutes. Get a little sear on them. As our steaks are resting right back here in a warm spot. And the reason we rest the steak, we have all those juices, these molecules moving around in there as it's cooking violently in a skillet over a high flame. Now we're gonna let it relax. We're not gonna serve it piping hot right out of the skillet. We want the juices to relax in there so that when we cut it in a few minutes, it'll be a nice rosy pink and all the juices won't run out of your steak. So these mushrooms are getting a little bit of a sear. You want to toss them around, coat them in the oil. I haven't seasoned them right away because I want them to get a little bit of a sear. If I add salt too soon, that'll draw out moisture and it will prevent them from searing. So our mushrooms are browning up really beautifully in the pan. To finish them, I still need to season them. I'm going to add just another little nub of butter. Kind of break that up in the pan. This will also help with flavor and with browning. We're going to add a little bit of that kosher salt. I still like a little bit of this smoky Spanish paprika in there. And then some freshly cracked black pepper. The one thing I would like to add to this to finish it as the butter melts in is a little squeeze of lemon. That little bit of acid that the lemon adds is going to add a freshness. It's going to take some of the richness away from the steak because this will be a very rich, buttery dish. So a little fresh lemon. And just, again, things we had in the house. Some mushrooms, some lemon. You can see these mushrooms becoming beautiful with the nice brown sear, caramelizing with that lemon juice. And then we're going to set these aside. We're going to make a quick sauce for our steaks and show you how we whip our salad together. Thanks. So a quick sauce that I'm going to put together for our steak and our mushrooms today is, my thought was a horseradish sauce would be really good. I don't have any horseradish in the house. So I'm going to take a parsnip, which is really sweet, and I'm going to grate that up and I'm going to make a mustard sauce. I didn't have the horseradish, but I do have a Creole mustard, which has a whole grain mustard quality that's really a little bit spicy. So I just trim up this fresh parsnip, and I have a box grater. I'm going to grate it. Now, a lot of dishes in Japan, they use a grated daikon. You might use a grated carrot in something. The parsnip is great because it sweetens up your sauce just a little bit. It takes the edge off all of the spiciness. So I have my parsnip grated up. I'm going to add that to a bowl right here. Very fresh, sweet. It's one of my favorite winter ingredients. So I have that. I'm going to add just a little bit of this spicy Creole mustard. A little drop of Japanese rice wine vinegar, which is a secret ingredient that we use in the restaurant quite a bit. It just adds a subtle sweetness and a tang to dishes. And then this little ingredient right here, it's called Kewpie. It's Japanese mayonnaise. We get it at the Asian market. It's a little bit more expensive than your garden variety mayonnaise, but it's a lot more rich, a little bit sweet, and very delicious. So I have these 4 ingredients, and I'm just going to whisk these together, give them a taste, see if I need to do any seasoning here. No, I think that's pretty nice. It has a little bit of sweetness from that parsnip, and then a real sharp bite from the mustard. So we'll set that aside, and then we're going to get ready to toss our salad together. So our kitchen sink salad over here is somewhat prepped, but we have to bring it all together. One ingredient I did forget earlier was a little fresh sliced red onion. This is one of those things that really makes a salad pop. Gives it that real nice fresh crispness. So I'm going to slice this onion very thinly. I'm going to keep my fingers curled back. So I have a good amount of onion. add that to my bowl. I'm gonna kind of break it up as I throw it in. And then to finish this all off, we need a little bit of a dressing and we need to season. So we're gonna give it a nice twist, freshly grated black pepper. I'm gonna give it a good pinch of that kosher salt. Like I said earlier, I think the avocado really benefits from a little salt to draw out the delicious flavor, the richness. Then we're gonna go back and use this rice wine vinegar. So it's a seasoned rice wine vinegar that has a little salt and a little sweetness to it. We're gonna put a healthy dose of that into our salad. Some really good extra virgin olive oil. Pull it all together. There's an Italian saying about how it takes 3 men to make a salad. You need a miser with the vinegar. You don't want it to be too vinegary. And then you need someone that's a little bit generous with the olive oil, because that's gonna give it that real lusciousness. And then you need a madman that's gonna mix the whole salad up. So to mix it up and become that madman, I'm gonna take some crisp lettuce I got at the grocery store. I'm gonna add in a little bit of spring mix lettuce that I had. And then take these handy dandy salad tossing tongs, forks. I'm gonna just mix this up. We want it to be very colorful, but we also want it to have all kinds of textures. We want it to have a little bit of that sharp acid, but a little sweetness as well. Well seasoned and delicious. We're gonna set this into a wooden serving bowl and we'll be ready to serve this along with our steak and roasted mushrooms. So our steaks are ready, they've been rested, and I think the key to cooking a steak is to rest the steak out of the refrigerator, sear the steak, then we roast the steak, and then we rest again. So rest, sear, roast, and rest. We have our nice big beautiful New York strip steak here, nicely rested. I'm gonna carve this up and show you how I would plate this for our family dinner tonight. So we're gonna slice these. They're about 1/2 inch thick slices against the grain here. We're hoping that this is pink in the center, and it is. Very nice. So what I wanna do with this is just kind of arrange this on the plate. And then we're gonna give it another little bit of dressing and another seasoning. Because when you season your steak, you're really only seasoning the outside. So I wanna do a little top applied seasoning over the steak and a little crack of pepper. And then I'm gonna bring my mushrooms in here and we're gonna add this to the platter. Arrange these up. My roasted mushrooms. Tighten that up, clean up my plate a little bit, and then I want to add a little squeeze of lemon, bring a little bit more of that acid to it. It's very much the way that steaks are served in Tuscany. We're going to use some great Lombardino olive oil, thanks to Deborah and Terry Hart, and we're going to finish the steak with just a drizzle of this really nice olive oil. Then we have our sauce made with the whole grain mustard and the parsnips that'll help finish off our steak. So this is our skillet seared strip steak with roasted mushrooms, a Creole mustard sauce, and our kitchen sink salad. Buon appetito. We have to give our favorite pet in the house, Ollie, a little taste of our strip steak. He's part of the family too, we can't forget him. Well, thanks for spending some time with us here at the Real Lombardino's Cooking at Home. I know we're all stuck in home and we're just trying to make the best of it. I really want to thank my wife, Michelle. We really took this on as a project to just keep active and learn something. And it's been a challenge for sure. And we hope that you can give us some comments and let us know how you like our videos. And we hope to keep learning and growing and making each one just a little bit better. So subscribe to our channel, The Real Lombardino.